Hello, class. We're about to start the review for chapter 3. And as you see in our directions, it say you may use your calculator. So for the majority of this review, we will be using our calculator. So please pull out your calculator or pull up the calculator on the from the email that I sent you. Okay, so now I pulled up the calculator. So now we could get started. All right, it says number one, find a total yearly budget. From a total yearly budget of $360,000, the Kimball Foundation spends $30,000 on leasing office space. What is the ratio of dollars spent on office space to dollars spent on other costs? Okay, so now what we have here, we have the total amount, which is $360,000, but we have $30,000 on leasing office space. So it says, what is the ratio of dollars spent on office space? So that's $30,000. So let's go with that. So number one, so we had $30,000, and they want us to write the ratio of dollars spent on office space to dollars spent on other costs. To get the other costs, we will have to take the total budget, which is $360,000, and subtract the $30,000 that we use for office space. So this would end up being 30,000 divided by 330,000. Now we will put that in our calculator. So we want to make this as easy as possible since we can use a calculator. We will have, let's hit the end over D. So we have 30,000 divided by 330,000. Hit our right arrow, hit enter, and we got 1 over 11. So that is our fraction, but if you notice, we have our answers using the colon. So we know the colon, the top value is first and the colon is last. So our answer here would be C. All right, now we go to number 2. Number 2, it says a worker can assemble 5 motors in 2 hours. Which of the expressions below could be used to find how long it would take the worker to assemble 50 motors? So a worker can assemble 5 motors in 2 hours. So we could say 5 motors in 2 hours. Okay, now we want to know how long it takes to assemble 50 motors. Now remember, when we're doing a proportion, because this is a proportion problem, we will have to put motors with motors. So it's 5 motors here, it'll be 50 motors here. All over. Now we will have X, which would be our hours. Now we do our cross multiplication. 5 times X is equal to 2 times 50. So now we will have 5X is equal to 2 times 50. Divide each side by 5. And X is equal to 2 times 50 over 5. So now we will have to find the closest thing we have to 2 times 50 all over 5. Now if you look at A, the answer is A. But this is what we will have to do with A. A is 2 times 50 over 5. So let me write this out to show you why the answer is A. So we will have 2 times 50 over 5. Isn't this 2 really 2 over 1? So if this is 2 over 1 times 50 over 5, that's the same as saying 2 times 50 over 5, which we have here. That is why the answer is A. Okay, now we scroll down here to problem number 3. It says, Frank owns a discount music store. The table below shows how much Frank pays for certain merchandise items. It says to find his selling price, Frank increases each price by 35%. What is the selling price of a poster? Now what we have to do here, we have to go back to the original price. And I remember showing you all something similar to this. So we would take the poster, which is $5.60. We would take the original price and we would have to add the increase of that price. So it'll be 560 times the 35%, which is 0.35. So now we will put that in our calculator. You will have, let me clear this out, you have 560 plus 560 parentheses 0.35. Press enter. So now the new cost of a poster will be $7.56. So if you look here, that would be B. So that was problem number 3. All right, now we go here to problem 4. It says Neva's car is now worth $12,000. This is 60% of what she paid for it. How much did she pay for the car? So what we would have to do is we would have to read this problem out here. It says, how much did she pay for the car? She paid 60% of some value. So you would do 0.60 times X. And 60% of that value is $12,000. You know what? I am going to have to move this calculator. I think I'm going to have to move it somewhat like this here. Okay. So now, this will give us more space. So if 60% of some value is equal to 12,000, we divide 0.60 on both sides. And we have X is equal to, put this right in our calculator. We'll put 12,000 divided by 0.60. And that gives us $20,000. And that will be D. Now we move on to problem number 5. Let's see if I can shrink this. I can't shrink it anymore. Oh, there we go. All right, so problem number 5. It says, at a shop, the ratio of union to non-union workers is 7:3. If there are 18 non-union workers at the shop, how many union workers are there? So it says union to non-union is 7 union all over 3 non-union. So now they tell us that it's 18 non-union. Because remember, non-union and non-union and union must match up. Okay, so now we cross multiply. So we have 7 times 18 equals 3 times X. 7 times 18 is 126. Is equal to 3X. We divide each side by 3. And we can take 126 divided by 3. And that gives us 42. So it's 42 union workers, which is C. Okay, problem number 6. It says Camilla earned $954 in commission on $15,900 in sales. What is her rate of commission? Okay, so basically, so number 6, we got X is equal to, she earned $954 in commission out of $15,900 in sales. So we could put this in our calculator. put N over D, so we have 954. The down arrow, 15,900. Hit the right arrow, and then we could press second, and then this close parenthesis. No, I guess the second didn't take. So we'll hit second, close parenthesis, and press enter. So it's 6%. So X is 6%, which would give us A. Okay, so now we go here to problem number 7. So I got to pull this calculator back up. All right, it says here, John spent the following amounts of time building a workbench. Drawing the plans, 2 hours cutting the wood, assembling the workbench, sanding and sealing. All of the hours here. What is the ratio of time spent cutting the wood to total time spent on the project? Okay, so this is an interesting problem here. And I'm going to write this out since we're going to put this in our calculator. So it says, what is the ratio of the time spent cutting wood? Cutting the wood was 1.5 hours. So we'll put 1.5 in our numerator. In our denominator, it says to the total time spent on the project. So now we need the total time spent on the project. So we add 2 plus 1.5 plus 2 plus 3.5. So now we can put this in our calculator. So what I want to do, I want to total up what the denominator is first. So we add 2 plus, we'll press second, the N over D to get the mixed number. So we add 1, and then 1/2. Right arrow, plus 2 plus second N over D, and that'll be 3, right arrow, 1, down arrow, 2. Press enter, so that equals 9. So what this will end up being is 1 1/2 divided by 9. Now, we could put this in our calculator to get this fraction. So now what we would do is we would take the N over D, and then while it's still at the top, we got 1 1/2, right? So then we'll press second, and then N over D. Now we can have that mixed number in the top. So we have 1, 1, down arrow 2. So we have 1 1/2. Now you will hit the down arrow to get to the bottom, and you will hit 9 and press enter. So that's 1/6. So we know 1 1/2 over 9 is 1/6. And we'll rewrite that as a colon. So it'd be 1:6, which is B. All right. So now we're going to move on to problem 8. Okay, now on problem number 8, it says questions 8 and 9 refer to the following information. They give us a table here. It says, what percent of Ford County farmland is used for growing of grains, vegetables, or fruits? Okay, what percent? So first of all, they tell us the total acreage is 40,000. So we know for problem number 8, our denominator is going to be 40,000. Now to find our numerator, we have to add the grains, which is 9,200. We have to add the vegetables or fruit, which is 5,200. So now when we add those two together, this will give us 14,400, all over 40,000. Now we can put this in our calculator, 14,400 divided by 40,000. So that gives us 0.36. Now, what I should have done, let me go back here. Now, this is fine, but what you could do, since I had messed this up, after you type this in, you could press second to close parenthesis, and then press enter. And that'll give you a percent, which is B. 36%, which is B. Now, what I should have done when I typed this, just to show you, when I typed the 14,400 divided by the 40,000, before I press enter, I should have pressed second and close parenthesis, then press enter, and that would have gave us the percent. Okay, number 9. One dairy farmer in Florida County is considering selling her farm to developers who will convert it from a dairy farm to a resort. If this happens, the amount of farmland devoted to dairy in Florida County would decrease by 20%. How many total acres of farmland will Florida County then have? Then have the dairy farmer if the dairy farmer decides to sell. Okay, so it said that it would decrease by 20%. So basically, you could do this. If something is decreased by 20%, let's look at it like this here. If you have the total of something that's not decreased, that would be 100%. If it decreases by 20%, then that means you only have 80% left. So basically what they're saying is, if you take that 40,000 and you multiply by 80%, that will tell you how much land you have left. Or you could do it another way. Let's say you don't remember this method. You could say, okay, I started off with 40,000 acres of land. Then you'll subtract off the 20%, so it'd be 40,000 times the 20%. Now I'm showing you both of these so that you can see that you will get the same answer whichever method you use. So if we take 40,000 times 0.8 or 0.80, that gives you 32,000. That's how much will be left. Or we could take the same 40,000 minus 40,000 times that 20%, and that still gives you 32,000. So either method works. So your answer would be B. All right, now we move on here to problem number 10. It says a serving of peanut butter contains 3 grams of saturated fat and 13 grams of unsaturated fat. This amount of fat is 25% of the recommended amount of fat in a 2,000 calorie diet. What is the ratio of grams of saturated fat to total fat in a serving of peanut butter? So first of all, we have to look at the saturated fat. It's 3 grams. So we have 3 grams for saturated fat. Now they want us to know, they wanted saturated fat to total fat. So we had to add this 3 and 13 together. 3 plus 13, because it's saturated and unsaturated fat. So it'd be 3 over 16. So now, we can't simplify 3 over 16. So our answer here would be A. Okay, now, we move on to number 11. A drawing of a company logo is 4 inches wide and 5 inches long. If the drawing is enlarged so it is 12.5 inches long, and the original proportions remain unchanged, how many inches wide will the enlarged drawing be? Okay, so basically we have this. We have 4 inches, this is number 11. We have 4 inches wide. I'm going to put 4-inch W. And then we have 5 inches long, 5-inch length. Is equal to, now they tell us that it's enlarged, so it'd be 12.5 inches long. So it'd be 12.5 inches long. Because remember, inches and length must be in the same place. Both is in the bottom. So now we're trying to find the width. So now we do our cross multiplication. So you have 4 times 12.5 is equal to 5 times x. 4 times 12.5 is 50 is equal to 5x. Divide each side by 5, and 10 is equal to x. So 10 is B. So your answer here would be B. Okay, number 12. A local hospital currently has 184 male patients. If the ratio of male to female is 4 to 3, how many female patients are there in the hospital? Write your answer on the line below. Okay, so for problem number 12, we got the ratio of 4 to 3, male to female. So it's 4 males for every 3 females. All right, so they told us we have 184 males. So we're looking for females. So we got male to male, female to female. Now we do our cross multiplication. 4 times x is equal to 3 times 184. So it'd be 4x is equal to 3 times 184. That's 12. Carry a 1, 25. Carry a 2. That'll be 552. Now we divide each side by 4. And x is equal to, so we could take our calculator. So we'll take 552 divided by 4. And that gives us 138. So it's 138 females. All right. 13. A newspaper advertisement contains the following information. It says, Busybody Fitness Center inventory reduction blowout. All sales price are 20% off original price. Okay, so now it says here in dollars, what was the original price of the upright bike? Okay, so basically, this price here is the 20% off price. So, what we would need to do here is this here. Since it's 20% off, remember I told you, since it's 20% off, that means that the price you're looking at is 80% of the original price. Because remember, whenever you have the total amount, like there's no change, that is 100%. So it'll be 100% if you add the total amount, but you're getting 20% off. So that leaves you 80%. So that is what you have here. So what you want to know is, you want to take 80% of the original price is equal to, and this is for the upright bike, is equal to $720. So 80% of the original price is equal to $720. So we'll divide each side by 0.80. And x is equal to, so we'll take our calculator. We'll take 720 divided by 0.8 or 0.80. And that gave us 900. So the original price was $900. So with that being said, it's not multiple choice. So that's what we will leave it as, is x equals $900. Now for problem 14, it says the Tigers' ratio of wins to losses is 5 to 4. If the team continues winning at the same rate, how many games will the Tigers win in a 72-game season? Okay, so basically what it's saying is they win 5 games to 4 losses. Okay, so go here to 14. We can set this up. It'll be 5 wins for every 4 losses. So now they said that how many games would the Tigers win in a 72 games season? So basically, well, since it's a 72 game season, okay, they did not break that up. So we're going to have to scratch that. So what we're going to have to do is, since they win 5 out of 4, so in our different approach, this is what we would need to do. They said the wins to losses was 5 to 4. But if you tally these up, that's a total of 9. So if we're going by wins, it'll be 5 wins to 9 total games. Okay, so now we add total games, which is 72, and we're trying to find wins. So now we could do cross multiplication. 5 times 72 equals 9 times x. 5 times 72 is 360, is equal to 9x. We could divide each side by 9, and this will give us 40 is equal to x. So the answer would be 40, which is B. So this was a little different because they gave us the total amount. So we had to find our total amount first. Then we could go ahead with the proportion. So now 15, a television station called 400 Adults had asked the following question. Do you approve of the governor's new education program? The table below shows the results of the survey. Of the people called, how many did not answer no? They said did not answer no. Okay, so if you look here at the percent, the people that did not answer no were basically your yeses or your undecided. So with that being said, so if we look at 15, it was 16% that was undecided, so that wasn't a no. And 32% that was a yes, that wasn't a no. So that's 48%. So we had to take 48% of the 400 adults. So we would take 400 times 0.48. So we will multiply that on our calculator. So we have 400 times 0.48, which is 192. So these were the ones that did not say no. So that's C. All right, now 16. Problem 16. It says the price of a carton of computer paper decreased from $25 to $20. What was the percent decrease in the price? Now remember, we said the percent of decrease is new minus old divided by old. And we abbreviate it with POD for percent of decrease. So the new value would be the $20. The old value would be the $25. All over the old value of $25. So 20 minus 25, we would know would be a negative $5 over $25. Now remember, I told you all, because we are using percent of decrease, we would not write the negative number for our answer. So we'll pull up this calculator, and we would take the 5, well, let's make this into a fraction. So we hit the fraction key. We have 5, down arrow 25, hit the right arrow, hit second, close parentheses, press enter. So your answer here would be 20%. So the percent of decrease is 20%, which is C. All right, now we go up here to problem 17. 6 months ago, Sandra had 55 regular customers. Now she has 220% as many regular customers as she had 6 months ago. How many regular customers does Sandra have now? Okay, so basically it's saying that it went 220% higher. She had 220% more regular customers. So remember, we are not used to dealing with a percentage that's this high, but that's fine. We should be able to take care of this problem. So what we would do for problem 17, she has 220% more. So, well, 220% is her regular customer base now. So what we would do is we would take this 55 and multiply it by 2.20%, because 220% is 2.20. So we will put that in our calculator. So we have 55 times 2.20. So that's 121. So that's A. All right. Now we scroll down to problem 18. Okay, problem 18. It says if 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories, what percent of the calories in a Munchies roast beef sandwich come from fat? So let's take a look at that. 18, it says 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So we can make this into a proportion. So we'll go grams of fat. We're going with the roast beef sandwich. So 6 grams of fat over 300 calories. Now it says how much of that comes from fat. Let me see. What percent of the calories in a Munchies roast beef sandwich come from fat? So we can multiply it. 1 times 300 is equal to 9 times 6. So we add 300. Oh, you know what? Actually, we wasn't supposed to do this because we know what these numbers are. So what we would have to do here, this was set up a little differently, because usually we would have our proportion with an X over, like an X over 300 or 6 over X, but it's given to us. So all we have to do is put this 6 over 300 and make it into a percentage. So this is what we would do. We would take our calculator. Okay, now, again, we're dealing with this 6 over 300. But here's the thing with this. It tells us here that 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. Okay, so what happens is this here. We would have to take the grams of fat and multiply it by these calories. So we got 6 grams of fat multiplied by 9 calories, because that was our proportion. So that would give us 54. So it's saying here that it's 54 in the sandwich from fat, 54 calories. So now what we would do, we would take this 54 and divide it by the 300. Okay, so we would take our calculator. We have 54 divided by 300, and that would give us 0.18. And we we know that's 18%. Okay, so now that would be D. Okay, now we go here to problem 19. It says for every $8 in their budget, the park spent $3 on food. If their weekly budget is $704, how much do they spend on food each week? So it says for every $8 in their budget, the park spent $3 on food. So with problem 19, $8 for the budget, $3 for food. Okay, so now they say the weekly budget is $704. So we have $704 for the budget, and then now we need to know food. So now we cross multiply. 8 times x is equal to 3 times 704. So it'd be 8x is equal to 2112. Divide each side by 8. We'll take our calculator. So we had 2112 divided by 8, and it gives us 264. So $264 is what they spend on food, which is D. Okay, problem number 20. All right, it says, Sutter Travel estimates that 80% of its employees have more than 12 days of unused sick leave. If 140 employees have more than 12 days of unused sick leave, how many employees work at the agency? Now it says it estimates that 80% of its employees have more than 12 days of unused sick leave. Okay, so they tell us 80% of some number, it should be 140. Because remember, 80% have more than 12 days of unused sick leave. 140 employees have more than 12 days of unused sick leave. So it's 80% of some unknown number is equal to 140. So we'll divide each side by 0.80. And x is equal to, now we'll put this in the calculator. We have 140 divided by 0.80. So the total employees is 175. So your answer here is C. Now we come here to problem 21. It says the Gladstone Theater has 900 seats at a recent show. The ratio of tickets sold to tickets unsold was 11 to 1. So you sold 11 tickets to 1 unsold. How many tickets were sold? Okay, they had 900 seats. Okay, the ratio of tickets sold to tickets unsold was 11 to 1. How many tickets were sold? Okay, so what we need to do next is do what we did in the previous problem. We have to total this up. 11 to 1 means that there are 12 tickets. So that would mean that the actual ratio is 11 to 12, or 11 twelfths. So then knowing that it is 11 twelfths, so it's 11 tickets sold for 12 seats. So then now we will have here, it'll be 900 seats, and now we figure out how many tickets are sold. So now we cross multiply. We have 11 times 900 equals 12 times x. 11 times 900 will be 9,900 is equal to 12x. We divide each side by 12. So we'll put this in our calculator. we'll take 9,900 divided by 12, and that gives us 825. So it's 825 tickets that were sold out of 900. So that would be D. Okay, problem 22. Matthew put 2,200 in a savings account for 1 year and 6 months. If he earns simple interest at an annual rate of 8%, how much would he have in the account at the end of the time period? So remember, interest is equal to principal times rate times time. So we don't know what our interest is. Our principal is given to us as $2,200. The rate is 8%. And the time we're told is 1 year and 6 months, which we know is 1.5 years. Okay, so now we're going to substitute. The principal is 2,200. The rate is 8%. We'll put it at 0.08, and the time is 1.5. So we put this in our calculator. So we add 2,200. Well, I put it in parentheses like I showed on the paper. 2,200 then we have 0.08. Then we have 1.5. Press enter. So the interest would be $264. Now that is the interest, but they said how much will he have in the account at the end of this time period. So we have to take this 264 and add the 2,200 to it. So it'll be 2,464, which will give us C. Okay, next. We come here to problem 23. It says a television set that is regularly priced at $410 is on sale for 20% off. What is the sale price of the television set? Okay, now, what we have to do is this here. We could do it like we did in class. So we have $410 minus $410 times 20%. Because they want to know the total price of the television. So we have to subtract off the 20%. So we have 410 minus 410 parentheses 0.20. I don't know why this double types, but it does. But I have to adjust. So we close that parenthesis and press enter. So it'll be $328. So that would be B. Problem 24. It says on the county map shown below, the map scale reads 0.5 inches is equal to 60 miles. What is the actual distance in miles between Lakeview and Riverside? So we have 2 3/4 inches from Lakeview to Riverside. So basically we have 0.5 inches is the same as 60 miles. So now we have 2 3/4 inches. And now we want to find out how many miles they are. So we'll take 0.5 times x is equal to 60 times 2 3/4. So now we can put that in our calculator. So we add 60 times. So we add second n over d. So that'll be 2, arrow 3, down arrow 4. And enter. So this will be 0.5x is equal to 165. Divide each side by 0.5. And x is equal to 165 divided by 0.5. And that would give us 330. So our answer is D. All right. Now we move on. Okay. We move on to 25. It says, question 25 refers to the following information. Leo's bookstore kept track of the number of customers who visited the store over a 3-day period. Employees also recorded the number of customers who made a purchase for each day during the same period. Which of the following could be used to find what percent of Sunday's customers did not make a purchase? Okay, so Sunday we had 140 customers, and then we had 91 that made a purchase. So let me see, it could be used to find what percent. Okay, so we got to find the percent. So basically for 25, we already know to find out how many did not make a purchase. We would take the total amount of customers minus the amount that made a purchase, divided by the total amount of customers. Now, we would be done here, but by hand, you know we would end up with a decimal here. Matter of fact, let me show you this so you can see why I'm about to do what I'm going to do. So, we'll hit the fraction key. We'll take 140 minus 91. And then we'll put the 140 in our bottom, or our denominator, and we'll hit enter. Now, it did give us a fraction, but typically, we know that it would typically give us a decimal. So with that being said, to get this to be a percent, whatever that decimal would have been, we have to multiply it by 100. Because watch this, 7 divided by 20 gives us 0.35. To get it to be a percent, if we multiply 0.35 by 100, that would give us 35, and we would just put the percent sign behind it. So our answer here should be C. All right, now we come to problem 26. A school admits 9 out of every 14 who apply. At this rate, how many students will be admitted if 420 apply? Okay, so now with 26, we have our proportion. It's 9 out of every 14. 9 is who got accepted, and 14 is the total amount that applied. So now they tell us that 420 applied, so we need to find out how many got admitted. So we'll cross multiply. 9 times 420 is equal to 14 times x. 9 times 420 will be 3,780 is equal to 14x. Divide each side by 14. So we'll take 3,780 divided by 14. And that gives us 270. So 270 is equal to x. So that was how many that was admitted. Now we go to 27, last problem. In a 40-hour work week, Marcy spends 15 hours answering telephone. What is the ratio of hours spent answering telephone to hours doing other types of work? Okay, she does a 40-hour week. So first of all, we had to take 40 minus how many hours she spends on the telephone. answering the telephone. So 40 minus 15 will give us 25. So it's 25 on the other activities. So now they asked us for this ratio. They said ratio of hours spent answering the phone. We know it's 15. To hours doing other types of work, we know it's 25. So it's 15 over 25. But they want us to write this as a ratio, so we need to simplify this. So we hit this fraction key. We have 15 all over 25. Now they did not ask us for a percent. So what we would do here, we'll press enter, and it gave us 3/5. So our answer here will be x equals 3/5. And that is the final problem, and we are done with the review. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will upload this to YouTube. Have a wonderful day.